from Hollywood and the four corners of the world. You ask for it. Starring Rich Little. Here's the star of You Ask For It, Rich Little.
Thank you, and welcome to the only show on television that goes anywhere in the world just because you asked for it. Tonight, Mexico's blazing Easter spectacular, Belgium's remarkable horses that fish, an astonishing feat with foot and ladder, and much more. First, a man who swallows live snakes and poisonous scorpions. Ugh. One slip of the tongue, and he faces a painful, agonizing death. Now, this isn't an act, but part of a religious ritual performed on the deserts of Algeria. Adventure photographer Jean-Louis Dubois filmed this dangerous ceremony, and Jack Smith describes the action. Michael Piani of Reno, Nevada, you asked for it.
The Sahara Desert is so huge it could hold the entire continental United States and still have room for Mexico. French filmmaker Jean-Louis Dubois has come to the Sahara to explore it for himself. Yet, even in this burning ocean of sand, there exist palm-sheltered villages where the people of the desert have managed for centuries to somehow make a living. To entertain visitors, some wandering natives provide such exotica as snake and scorpion swallowing. Before performing, Ali Saweh and his assistant smoke a natural drug called keef. They believe that this potent relative of marijuana will lessen their fear of the venomous snakes and scorpions that they are about to handle. Like any star performer, Ali Saweh is preceded by an opening act. Self-inflicted wounds for ages have been part of the major religions of this area. Crowds have learned to expect sights like this. The secrets of these wandering entertainers have been faithfully kept for centuries and carefully passed down from father to son. At last, Ali Saweh is about to have his moment. His initiation into the art of snake handling began when he was 8 years old. His father began immunizing him cautiously and gradually by injecting him with ever-increasing doses of the local venoms. Ali has already begun the same procedure with one of his sons, the son who will eventually replace him. Even with his immunity, Ali must have rare courage to thrust a deadly snake down his throat. It is hard to imagine anyone choosing a profession which requires exposing the sensitive mouth and throat tissues to the bite of venomous snakes and scorpions. And yet, generations of these wandering performers pass their secrets from one to the other. And today, hundreds of them move from village to village with this form of entertainment. Being bitten inside the mouth must be painful, but having a snake chew on your arm is not most people's idea of Sunday fun either. It's not everybody's idea of how to make a living, but then not everybody has to make a living in the Sahara. I hope you enjoyed seeing how Ali Sawé does it, because you asked for it.
What we just saw is very bizarre and very dangerous, but the ritual is part of another culture and way of life different from ours. In a moment, a Mexican village burns one of the arch villains of human history. We'll be back.
And now back to Rich Little.
Most of us celebrate Easter with chocolate bunny rabbits and colored eggs. But in Mexico, they spend weeks making a giant Judas figure, only to blow it up in a festival which takes Easter celebrations to a new heights of excitement. Our reporter, Tony Thomas, tells you about it because Mrs. D. Delph of Southerton, Salisbury, Zimbabwe, you asked for it.
In Mexico, as Easter approaches, colorful papier-mâché figures appear for sale in the streets. The bizarre skeleton-like figure represents Judas, the betrayer of Christ. He's the central villain in their drama of Easter. Pedro Linares and his 3 sons are makers of Judas figures. It's a very old folk art practiced now only by a few artists called cartoneros. First, the plan for the figure is laid out on the ground. Pedro began working in papier-mâché as a boy. Now he and his sons are considered the best cartoneros in Mexico. They make the frames from bamboo, which is cut, bent, and tied into shape. Over these frames will be laid the papier-mâché surface. As fiesta time approaches, they will work 12 to 14 hours a day to fulfill the demand. Gluing the paper onto the frame is a delicate business, whether the figure is small or large. They make them in all sizes, but this one will be special. It will stand more than 10 feet high. Many hours of painstaking work go into a figure that is destined to be destroyed. Judas the betrayer is about to receive his just punishment. But first he will stand in the wings, a looming, enigmatic figure awaiting his moment on the stage. Judas will meet his spectacular fate here in the village of Jalatlacó, about an hour's drive outside Mexico City. It's Holy Saturday, the day before Easter Sunday, and the crowd eagerly anticipates the medieval passion play that climaxes Holy Week. The play culminates with the fiery destruction of the Judas figure, which now takes center stage. All of the efforts of the Linares family have been directed towards this moment, when the Judas figure is given its final touches and is raised above the crowd. So once again, history's arch-villain Judas pays for his treachery. And you saw it because you asked for it.
Well, this is Ronald Reagan. Can you imagine trying to organize an Easter celebration like that on the White House lawn? Think of the permits you'd need from the police, from the fire department, insurance company, and smog control. I don't think that President Haig would go for it. And now Jack Smith with a choice selection from the past. Here's Jack.
Rich, there are many balancing acts performed on top of ladders, but the stunts performed by the Jungov's family are as astonishing today as they were when we first filmed them back in the 50s. Father Karl Jungov balances the ladder with his feet, but he does this lying on a small electric car that circles the ring throughout the act. Well, this unique act has never been copied, and when you see it, you'll understand why. Just watch.
In special performance for our You Asked For It cameras in London, England. Father Carl, wife Kate, and sons Peter and Carl Jr. We've seen acts of this kind before, a ladder balanced on feet, acrobats performing above, but never before atop a miniature electric car that constantly circles the arena. The car is moving. Son Peter mounts the ladder. Watch how steady the ladder remains throughout this entire performance. The act has never been copied because of its enormous difficulty. The car still moving. Karl Jungov created his act when the boys were only 6 and 7 years old. It took them 2 years to perfect it. Originally from East Germany, Karl Jungov and his family were held inside Czechoslovakia for political reasons for 14 years. Since entering the free world, they've appeared throughout Western Europe. Their next plan is to tour America, but this is the first time they've been seen here through our You Asked For It cameras. The car stops for this trick. 2 wheels on an axle, and watch how Carl Jr. spins them. With 1 foot alone. Again, the car moves, greatly complicating problems of balance for whatever goes on above. Ladder now balanced on 1 foot, spinning hoops on the other foot and arms. Dad now takes Peter and Carl Jr. for the most unique merry-go-round ride in show business. One foot power for the merry-go-round. The 4 Jungovs and Clifford, that's their greeting to you here in America. You asked for it.
Now, there's a guy who always puts his best foot forward.
Yes, Rich, that father's been supporting that family for years.
Glad you said that. Coming up next, now get this, horses that go fishing in the North Sea. We'll be back.
And now back to Rich Little.
In Belgium, all fishermen need are nets, waterproof clothes, and horses. Horses? Well, that's right, because a few fishermen practice a way of shrimp fishing that is hundreds of years old. Exclusively for You Asked For It, a group of these hardy anglers braved the near-freezing waters off the Belgian coast to show us this fascinating way of harvesting the sea. Our Margaret Davies went to get this fish story because Nancy Nehru of Suamico, Wisconsin, you asked for it.
Rich, we're in Oostenkirk, a small town on the coast of Belgium. It's daybreak, and these horses and men are continuing a 450-year-old tradition. Meet Deidre Marcel, a retired coal salesman. And this is Henri Durand, who's a fisherman, with his son-in-law, Eddie de Hulster, the local postman. Armand Van Billemont owns a pub, and he's with his son, Roland. And this is Gerald Victor, 80-year-old pensioner and ex-fisherman. The youngest of the group is Lambrecht Warner. He drives a truck for the local dairy. They met here, just before sunup, to go shrimp fishing. And they do it in a most unusual way. They'll ride their horses right into the ocean, towing nets behind them. Fishing from horseback began in Belgium and Holland in the 15th century, when the typical peasant needed the food and couldn't afford a boat. The nets are laid out in the sand to prevent tangles before they're attached to the horses that pull them through the water in a trolling operation. Once the nets are ready, the men quickly head out to sea. Because of the changing tide, the maximum time they have to trawl for the shrimps is 2 hours. The horses are Belgian Brabacons, powerful draft horses. They have to be powerful to work belly deep in the pounding surf while dragging nets heavy with shrimp. But these 2,000-pound workhorses are, like their riders, the last in the world to be trained for this kind of fishing. When the tide turns, it comes in fast, and the fishermen head for shore as quickly as possible. A typical morning's catch in the best season, October, is 40 pounds of shrimp, which sells for about $55. The money just about pays their costs and helps to maintain the horses. The last horseback shrimp fisherman in the world.
Dank u wel, meneer. Is that delicious. I've never had better shrimp, and it's just because, Nancy Nehru, you asked for it.
Oh, this is Dean Martin. You know, I bet on one of those horses once. Yeah, but he never finished the race. Yeah, when I went back to a stall, there was a note on it that said, "Gone fishing." There's a sign up on my door.
Rich will be back in a minute with more of You Asked For It. And now back to Rich Little.
That's our show for tonight. See you next time on Good night, everybody.
This is John Harlan speaking. You Asked For It is a Sandy Frank production.